Alright, what's up, guys? My name is Azagthoth. Today we're going to talk a little more of a serious topic. Uh, as you can read by the title, we're going to be talking about Trey slash Dark Sprocket here. And it's in a defense of Trey. He needs no introduction at all. But it should be noted that this video might get heated. Not necessarily heated as in, I'll start yelling at you, but I do have some things about some recent events that really just fucking piss me off, and it's just, I'm gonna be brutally honest with how I feel. But I will keep any names other than Trey, because that's who I'm talking in defense of, out of my mouth. Any other names I'm keeping out of my mouth. Maybe just one, because that's not really, I'm not really giving shade to that guy. This is ironic because later guy I'm going to talk about, who I'm not mentioning, has a similar name to what I just said. Anyways, if you know, the thing that set me off here and kind of spawned this video was the fact that there was a little bit of a tour incident on their Angel tour, just about like on the one of the last few shows. Trey had a collapsing moment, and it was basically just revealed later down the line that it was a really bad day for not having drank an amount of water. Like, they listed not enough amount of sleep and not nearly enough water in a really hot venue, which makes sense. They were playing in Florida, I believe, which is fucking just, And yeah, it was just a bad time, but the thing that set me off into making this video was actually this tour incident, because before there was any official statement from the band themselves, people were going around saying, oh, the reason why he collapsed is because he's an alcoholic and he's drinking so much all the time. Just like jumping to a bunch of weird conclusions that, like, oh, it's 1,000,000% because of alcohol. Not like, waiting for the band to state anything possible. And there were literally people at the show in the comments who were like, nah, man, we met Trey after the show and he was fine afterwards, and basically got the fucking dehydration shit, and and his back giving him a hard time, which, I mean, you gotta give him some slack. The guy's getting old. But just jumping to conclusions that, oh yeah, it's boil it down to alcohol. Yeah, blame it all on alcohol. Totally, every problem in the world that we have is totally because of alcohol. Yeah, that just pissed me off, that people just were so quick to jump to conclusions of why Trey collapsed on stage, according to them, and it's just like assuming it as a fact. And then there were people agreeing with the guy for all I fucking and just like, what's with people today? Like, what's with that? What's with jumping to conclusions and just like using that as a negative way of demeaning the person in question? Like, it's not like like, even if it was because of alcohol, does that give you the right to fucking sit there and talk shit about him? No, it's his fucking life. He can do whatever the fuck he wants to, not what you want him to do. But you're gonna sit there and complain about it like you're on top of him morally because you don't drink or something like that. Like, that's just dumb. That's just fucking pure plain dumb. Like, that shit you would do at like kindergarten, just like it's grown up kindergarten. That's really what it is, grown up kindergarten. And then that's one other guy, I'm not gonna mention his name, but he's kind of, his entire channel is just talking shit on shit about Trey. Almost all his videos are that, actually. Pretty much all of his popular videos are in one way or another talking shit on Trey. Now, I view talking shit like saying some dumb, just outrageous statements that are just not true about the guy, like, and just like spreading some weird videos. Like, there was one video that made me like question if this guy is a psychopath, because the title was like genuinely concerning in a way. It was like, I'm not gonna go into it because I bet you that guy's gonna watch this video, because he's such a leech. He leeches off anything that has to do with Trey. But dude, he needs to just kick back and relax, man, because that guy is just plain out fucking asshole. I'm not even gonna talk more about him, because that's all I can really say. Just a plain asshole. A lot of videos he's done are just shitting on Trey for no reason and being an asshole about it. You know, just being an asshole for years, actually. This is not like, oh, it just started recently. No, this guy's been going on for a while, like a couple of years at least. Just, and then there was other guys, like, I remember there was another guy who was really pissed at Trey. This one was really funny to me because it just shows how petty and immature some people are. There was one guy who said, like, oh, the only reason I'm making fun of Trey's playing is because I had personal beef with Trey for not showing up to an autograph signing back in years back. And I'm just like, you're gonna hold a grudge against that guy because he didn't show up to sign your CD? What kind of bullshit is that? Like, what? Are people really this petty nowadays? Like, are you seriously gonna hate a guy and start being like, oh yeah, this guy cannot play for shit. His songs are shit just because you fucking didn't get a signature? You know how fucking stupid and immature that is? Like, that's genuinely... I don't think I've ever done anything that fucking petty. Honestly, I don't even think I've done anything that petty. And I've done some petty fucking things before. Like, that just made me fucking laugh because it was just so petty. It's just hilarious. And next one, I will bring up an incident that also made me kind of just now found out recently, because it kind of literally just happened, is a comment on a man's channel called Justin Horval. We call him J-Dog in the biz. And yeah, the only reason I want to mention him is because he's not a bad guy. Like, he does say dumb things. Like, for example, he says that everything past Sever Survival by Autopsy is just, you know, he says it's boring. I mean, you know, it's kind of dumb. He said some really dumb things, but I honestly, deep down, he's probably a cool guy. Let's be honest. J-Dog is a cool guy. It's just that, you know, you can have opinions. He can have opinions that I don't agree with. I mean, that's fine. I love death metal and shit like that, but I want to elaborate on this because, of course, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Trey did comment on a video from a year ago. We talked about meeting Trey, and he was like, talking all the kinds of shit in the video. Maybe not talking shit, but this is why this is what I mean. He was saying like, oh, that the thing here is like, to me, he said as a statement, as a fact, that, oh, Trey doesn't listen to death metal or metal at all, or something like that. Which, I mean, if you just would have taken a look at literally anything from the past tour. I mean, he's literally wearing an Origin hoodie. If you know Origin, they're not a fucking old band. They're a pretty new band in the business, if you fucking, you know of them. And you know, still wearing death metal shirts and stuff. I mean, it's like going up and saying, I know everything about this guy because I saw one little thing online, you know? It's I don't think saying like, oh, this guy doesn't listen to metal anymore, he's turning into a poser. Like, you know, it's just kind of weird to just jump like that. But that's kind of just, you know, it's kind of just how he is. I mean, it's like, if you don't listen to DSI, you don't like death metal, which is like, yeah, but what if you don't like DSI's style of death metal? Because there's other death metal than DSI, like Death Doom, for example, that, of course, just J-Dog hates. He hates Autopsy's Death Doom era, for example. But Death Doom is cool, you know, at least to me. It fucking sounds good. And then there's probably some death metal he doesn't like that's still pretty standard death metal. Like, for example, Gateways to Annihilation. I'd say that's pretty standard death metal. He doesn't like it that much because it's like a slow album, you know. He hates anything slow, but so much for having a groovy song, am I right? But that's just a little what I take from the video itself. I want to give it to his comment here. He commented along the lines of, well, I literally have the comment on my screen, so it's not along the lines. It's exactly what I'm just about to say. I'm talking really fast today, but it's because I'm trying to compress this video. So if I'm talking a little bit fast, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to keep up a little. He said, cute video, bro, but you're so clueless when talking about me, Trey, Eddie Van Halen, Black Sabbath, Uli Roth, Frank Marino, Robin Trower, and others have way more feeling and imagination. I'm assuming that he talks about, oh, no, than most so-called death metal bands. Okay. And when those people in such death metal bands are unafraid to speak the truth, they'll tell you a similar thing. As in, that they're... Yeah, but, like, here's the thing, I feel like this could be instantly interpreted the wrong way. I know, I just know, one day someone's gonna read this and be like, oh, Trey hates death metal. He obviously doesn't hate death metal, and there are probably even newer death metal bands he does enjoy. I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, but he's touring with Revocation. He toured with Revocation. I mean, why would you tour with a band you don't like? Because Revocation obviously is a good band. But here it also proves my point that it's weird to say that Trey doesn't listen to metal, because he literally mentions Black Sabbath and Eddie Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen is also metal in my opinion, because, that shredding and stuff is definitely metal. Eddie Van Halen shredding is metal. And so is Black Sabbath. So just going out on a limb and saying, oh, he doesn't listen to death metal anymore because he doesn't like newer bands. Like, what are you basing that off of? Your own opinion? Like, if your own opinion is that, then you're kind of just having a weird opinion, You don't have to listen to the latest Sanguisuga Bog to like death metal, Or whatever slam bands are coming around now. I don't really listen to them. I listen to this band on my shirt and Morbid Angel and stuff like that. I listen to old school stuff mostly. Is it because I don't like new stuff? No, it's because, the most new school stuff doesn't really sound like, to me. But I definitely do agree that most so-called death metal bands don't really have as much feeling in their playing anymore. Even before, like in the 90s when death metal was at its peak, arguably, a lot of death metal bands had a lot more feeling than they do now. But we're gonna move on. In death metal, many people in bands like to present themselves as really tough and unapproachable because it seems cool, but inside, they're not real killers. Obviously, I'm pretty sure a lot of death metal people, band members, are guilty of this. I'm not gonna say Trey is, but, like, there might be some, like, in the past when he was younger, where he might have said something, but even when he was younger, he said in interviews that he's not, like, a Satanist. He's just, he believes in, the doing yourself for yourself kind of stuff, and that's kind of, like, elaborated here even a little bit. And he does specify that I think every artist should be free to do their thing and like what they like, yeah. But to say someone is a poser for liking something like Carole King's Portishead and then go to Portal is shallow, limited being. I'm assuming he says that's like a close-minded thought, as in limited being, like limited brain, something like that. Just, not allowing yourself to expand to other stuff. I definitely agree with him. Just like saying that, like, you can like what you like. It's not like you're wrong for liking anything, really. You can listen to jazz music more than you listen to death metal. That doesn't make you any less of a death metal fan if you are one. Like, come on, bro. Well, for me, trending, thinking, and lacks of guts and imagination is what I call... Okay, hold on. For me, trending, thinking... Oh, that one. I'm good at reading. And lack of guts and imagination. So, basically, bring back the balls in death metal. Is what I call empty shift and empty life forms, which I agree with. I'm not really that good at speaking. I do have some form of autism and a lot of ADHD. Both diagnosed. I could pull it up. If anyone's gonna bring me the, oh, well, you can't prove it, I can. Any day of the week. But yeah, I do agree that just focusing on what's trending now with your so-called death metal and not having any guts to, like, because a lot of people just, as soon as they get, like, canceled, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry for saying this 5 years back. You know, I would double down on something I said 5 years back if I got canceled for it. I would double down saying, yeah, it was a joke. Was it a dark joke? Sure. But did I mean it? Like, I mean it 100%. Do I hate someone because I made that joke? No. Do I think that because I said that? No. I know what I think. You're just gonna say that I'm like that because you can't take the joke. I'm not saying the joke is 100% fine and well behaved, but I'm gonna double down on it, you know? I'm gonna double down on that shit. So, I ain't no one to step down for cancel culture. And then he says, most people need a hug and a pat on on the back based on their behavior to validate themselves. Basically just like, you know, basically what we just elaborated on. That is called object referral, when one finds their self-worth based on how they fit in with their scene and reflect of it. As in, you know, following the trends just to fit in with the other bands and become as popular as possible. And I definitely hate that. That's just lame shit. That's why I mean, he might not like deathcore, but I like older deathcore because the start of deathcore tended to have more raw production and people gave less fucks about what people thought about them. And then now, if you compare modern deathcore to old to like the very start of deathcore, like even if you compare modern metalcore to something we would call metalcore in the early 2000s, like Trivium. I mean, I said this before, but Trivium is pretty much thrash metal compared to modern metalcore. And that's saying a lot about modern music, because a lot of the modern music is just the same breakdown with different time signature, different timing, different notes, you know? It's so boiled down to this boring trend that's just, I'm gonna chuck on the lowest string for 5 minutes and hope I get famous. Like, people don't put in soul and emotion into music when they are writing it. Like, you can put as much emotion and soul into the lyrics as you want, but the guitars and riffs, they don't reflect that. It's just gonna sound bad, and that's what every deathcore and metalcore band does these days. They're just the same thing that every other band does. And same with even a lot of modern death metal bands. They just do the same thing, no emotion in the albums, and they're afraid to not limit themselves to trends. And it's just sad to see. Many people follow trends that creates bubbleheads. I just said this, basically. For me, that is lame and limiting, and the real creativity comes from being self-referral. I am very self-centered, and I will never write music for anyone other than myself, and if people don't like it, they can fuck off, because I never did it for their approval anyways. And I don't need their support or their money. Hail Satan, he says to end it off, you know? Just a nice little send-off there. And, you know, I feel like that's a really good comment. I got some good talking points here and some good defenses of Trey, Azagthoth. One of my all-time favorite. I'm not gonna bitch. I'm not gonna bullshit. It's my favorite guitarist in auto metal. I can definitely see where he's coming from because there was like an interview, and then there's people I know that have been calling him the Van Halen of death metal, but that's like. I know what. Here's the thing. If Trey sees this, I think this is why people say that. It's because the attitude is there. It's not that the playing is the same as Eddie Van Halen, because Eddie Van Halen, yeah, I'll agree, it's really fucking hard to even come close to mimicking what Eddie did on the guitar back in the day. Like, I can play Eruption, but I can't play Eruption like Eddie. You know? That's hard as shit, but like, I think why people say that specifically comes from the whole attitude there with the writing music true to yourself and not what someone across the room when you're playing a show wants you to do, you know? I think it comes a lot from that, the more old school rock star attitude. I think that's why people want to call Trey the Eddie Van Halen of death metal. And I've even seen some people calling him the second Mozart. And I mean, I definitely think there's some valid points behind that, but I don't think that's the right way of approaching calling Trey a great guitarist. I think instead, leave it at that. Leave it at calling him a great guitarist and saying why, as in what I just said, because to me, why he's my favorite guitarist ever in metal, is because he has this attitude of what I just said and read. That he writes music for himself, and well, to me, the music he writes for himself is music that I enjoy, given that I love the Morbid Angel style, of course. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't make this video otherwise, but I still commend that a lot, because I feel like that's what I've been doing since 2018. I never really wanted anyone to like my music. I wanted to write shit that this is what I've always thought. I thought that, okay, I'm gonna write a song that I'm able to go back to and listen to on my headphones while I'm out doing whatever I want, without being like, oh, I don't want to listen to this. I make songs that I can go out for a walk to and listen to back and be like, fuck yeah, dude, I like this shit. You know, I make songs that I like. That's why you don't see a set genre on my albums. That's why I'm not 100% death metal. You see fucking death metal sometimes. I mean, before I've even made a jazz song, back in a long time ago, that was like back in 2019 or something, I made thrash metal, black metal, funeral doom, depressive suicidal black metal, power metal even. I made power metal. You see, I just make shit. If I feel like making a type of song, I make it. Like that. There's no doubt about how I approach that. If I feel like making something, I make it. I'm not worried about what the person in the comments on the internet is gonna think about my song. Like, sure, if they like it, and they're like, hey man, I love this, I'm gonna respond and be like, hey, thanks. I'm gonna appreciate their comment, their kindness. Similar to how Trey does it. You know, Trey obviously appreciates comments that are nice and are being like, yeah, I like your music, you know? And calling him great guitarist, you know, he obviously appreciates those kind of compliments. But that's what I love about Trey. He writes the music for himself, and the compliments are just a nice bonus, really, for people like us, who don't really aim to follow any trends or please everyone. And I feel like that's why he manages to still write music that I like. Like, I'll admit, yeah, I don't like Illid so much. It has a few good songs still, but, you know, It was like, if they released it under any other band name, no one would have bat an eye, you know? It just didn't fit Morbid Angel overall, in my opinion. But if we take other albums that a lot of people I've seen shit on, we have Gateways, Heretic, and Kingdom's Disdain. These three albums have all something in common. They're all very more out there in terms of writing, and they're all very true to themselves. You know, these three albums, I mean, at first I only really liked Gateways out of these three, and I liked Kingdom's Disdain when I first heard it. But after listening to them for a while, Heretic and Kingdoms has grown on me a lot, because I'm noticing that I like music that's true to itself, in a sense. Like, obviously, I'm biased towards death metal, but that type of death metal, especially on Heretic and Kingdoms, and very especially on Kingdoms, it just sounds so, like, true to itself, that it's like I feel more of like a conveyed feeling in something like Kingdom's Disdain than I feel a conveyed feeling in like Lorna Shore's To the Hellfire. I still admit to liking Lorna Shore as a band, but I don't really feel the emotion that they maybe want to convey in the song as well as in Trey's song, because Trey unloads all of his emotions into that song and does whatever the fuck he wants. And that's kind of why yes, I do like it because it's death metal and because it's heavy and chunky and all that good stuff that you can argue about all day and all night, but do love it a lot more than if it was a trend following death metal album. Like, if it sounded like another Altars, I would have been like, it's cool, I guess, it's good, but it's just like, it just sounds like another Altars. That's how I would view it. I'm glad that every album sounds different from Morbid Angel, because on every album there's something for someone else. Like, there's something for everyone, in my opinion, and I definitely agree with that. That if you don't like it, well, you can fuck off. You know, it's not that we hate you because you don't like it. It's because if you don't like it, don't spend time on it. If you don't like something, don't stick around with it. You know? Why stay around a thing you don't like rather than surround yourself with things that you actually like? That's why so many people are so pissed off and sad and depressed these days, because they just continue to pursue all these things they hate. Especially on Twitter, like, people have so much drama they follow that clearly brings them down on a mental status. Like, it brings their mental health down. Like, I've seen friends firsthand lose their mind and take breaks over internet drama. I mean, what the shit is that? If you just fucking ignored that person, blocked them and moved on, and didn't fucking interact, or didn't interact in the first place when you saw something that you didn't like, none of that would have happened. You wouldn't have been there being all sad and feeling sorry for yourself and being like, guys, I can't handle this, I'm gonna take a break. You don't need to take a break. You need to take a think. You need to take a thinker. You need to use your thinker. You know? You need to help yourself. You need to surround yourself with positive things that you like. Not fucking all these negative people that talk about shit that you hate all day. That's just gonna make you depressed. You're gonna want to kill yourself because of that, and then that's all your own fault. But that's been my opinion on, basically, to summarize this video up, I just wanted to get some stuff off my chest, and of course, speak in defense of Trey, and then speak on some points that why I agree with Trey on those, and stuff like that. If Trey sees this, keep on rocking, man. I can't wait for another album. But for everyone else, I'm a Suicide Grind, and this is just my take on, like, a little defense for Trey. Some stuff that really set me off recently. Just seeing it, I don't mean any hard feelings. I just wish people would educate themselves a little better before they start jumping to conclusions or calling names and all that. It's just use common sense and don't surround yourself with negativity. Be positive and only make shit that you want to make. Don't fucking follow trends and let yourself be engulfed by what other people want you to do. Do what you want to do. Anyways, I'm a Zulu Shine Grind. You know the motto. Stay cute.